Chapter 8. Auxiliaries and Modals. Auxiliaries. The verb be, am, is, was, etc. have and do, when used with ordinary verbs to make tenses, passive forms, questions and negatives are called auxiliary verbs or auxiliaries. Auxiliary means helping. Modals. The verbs can, could, may, might, will, would, shall, should, must and ought are called modal verbs or modals. They are used before ordinary verbs and express meanings such as permission, possibility, certainty and necessity. Need and dare can sometimes be used like modal verbs. Modals are often included in the group of auxiliaries. In some grammars, they are called modal auxiliaries. The modals can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, must and ought are termed defective verbs because some parts are wanting in them. They have no s in the third person singular. They have no ing and ed forms. Be. The auxiliary be is used in the formation of continuous tenses as he is running, I was playing. In the formation of passive as the palace was opened. Be followed by the infinitive is used to indicate a plan, arrangement or agreement as I am to see him in Delhi as scheduled. We are to be married next month. To denote command as you are to come to my office at once. Mother says you are to go to the market at once. Be is used in the past tense with the perfect infinitive to indicate an arrangement that was made but not carried out as they were to have been married last month but had to postpone the marriage until June. Have. The auxiliary have is used in the formation of the perfect tenses as he has written, he has been writing. Have to is used with the infinitive to indicate obligation as I have to be home by 4 o'clock. He has to do the work all by himself. The past form had to is used to express obligation in the past as I had to be there by 5 o'clock. He had to move the furniture himself. In negatives and questions, have to and had to are used with do, does and did as they have to go, they don't have to go. Do they have to go? He has to go, he doesn't have to go. Does he have to go? He had to go, he didn't have to go. Did he have to go? Do. The auxiliary do is used to form the negative and interrogative of the simple present and simple past tenses of ordinary verbs as he doesn't work, he didn't work. Does he work? Did he work? To avoid repetition of a previous ordinary verb as do you know him? Yes, I do. She sings well. Yes, she does. You saw him, didn't you? He sings and so do you. Do is also used to emphasize the affirmative nature of a statement as you do look pale. I told him not to go, but he did go. In the imperative, do makes a request or invitation more persuasive as do be sensible. Oh, do come. It's going to be such fun. In such cases, do is strongly stressed. Can, could, may, might. Can usually expresses ability or capacity as I can walk across fire. He can do the work. Can and may are used to express permission. May is rather formal. you can or may go now. Can or may I have your pen? May is used to express possibility in affirmative sentences. Can is used in the corresponding interrogative and negative sentences. It may be a holiday tomorrow. He may be at the theatre. Compare it cannot be true with it may not be true. Cannot denotes impossibility, while may not denotes improbability. In very formal English, may is used to express a wish, as may you live happily and long. May you prosper. Could and might are used as the past equivalents of can and may, as I could climb the hills when I was young, ability. He said I might or could go, permission. I thought he might be at home, possibility. She wondered whether it could be true, possibility. Note, could, as in the first example above, expresses only ability to do an act but not the performance of an act. We should use was or were able to for ability plus action in the past. When the boat was upset, we were able to or managed to swim to the bank, not we could swim to the bank. In negative statements, however, either could or were able to may be used. I couldn't or wasn't able to solve the puzzle. It was too difficult. In present time context, could and might are used as less positive versions of can and may, as I could attend the function, less positive and more hesitant than I can attend the function. Might or could I borrow your bicycle? A diffident way of saying may or can I. It might rain tomorrow, less positive than it may rain. Might is also used to express a degree of dissatisfaction or reapproach, as you might pay a little more attention to your appearance. Note the use of can, could, may and might with the perfect infinitive, as he is not there, where can he have gone? Means where is it possible that he has gone? He is not there, where could he have gone? Could expresses annoyance. You could have accepted the offer. Means why didn't you accept the offer? Fatima may or might have gone with Saroja. Means possibly Fatima has gone or went with Saroja. Why did you drive so carelessly? You might have run into the lamp post. Means it is fortunate that you didn't run into the lamp post. Shall, should, will, would. Shall is used in the first person and will in all persons to express pure future. However, nowadays, I or we shall is less common than I or we will, as I shall or will be in London next month. We will need the camera for the auditions. When shall we see you again? Tomorrow will be a holiday. You will see that I am right. In present day English, however, there is a growing tendency to use will in all persons. Shall is sometimes used in the second and third persons to express a command, a promise, or threat, as he shall not enter my class again. Command. You shall have a holiday tomorrow. Promise. You shall be punished for this. Threat. Note that these uses of shall are old-fashioned and formal and generally avoided in modern English. Questions with shall I or we are used to ask the will of the person addressed, as shall I open the can? That is, do you want me to open it? Which book shall I buy? That is, what is your advice? Where shall we go? What is your suggestion? Will is used to express volition, as I will, means am willing to do your work. I will means promise to do better next time. I will means am determined to succeed or die in the attempt. In the last example above, will is strong stressed. Characteristics habit as he will talk about nothing but finance. She will sit for hours watching TV. Assumption or probability as this will be the book you want, I suppose. That will be the postman, I think. Will you indicates an invitation or a request as will you have coffee or tea? Will you come home with me? Should and would are used as the past equivalents of shall and will, as I expected that I should more often would be selected in the team. He said he would be in Delhi next week. She said she would do the work. She would sit for hours means past habit watching TV. Should is used in all persons to express duty or obligation, as we should follow the rules. You should keep your promise. Children should obey their parents. In clauses of condition, should is used to express a supposition that may not be true. If it should rain, the dance recital will be cancelled. If he should see me here, he will tell my parents. Should and would are also used as in the examples below. I should or would like you to help her. Should or would like is a polite form of want. Would you lend me your scooter, please? Would you is more polite than will you. You should have been more careful. Should plus perfect infinitive indicates a past obligation that was not fulfilled. He should be in the library now expresses probability. I wish you would not chatter so much. Would after wish expresses a strong desire. Must ought to. Must is used to express necessity or obligation. You must improve your writing. We must get up early. Note, must refers to the present or the near future. To talk about the past, we use had to. The past form of have to. Must has no past form. Yesterday, we had to get up early. Must is often used when the obligation comes from the speaker. When the obligation comes from somewhere else, have to is often used. Compare, I must be on a diet. It is my own idea. I have to be on a diet. The doctor has told me to be on a diet. Must can also express logical certainty. Living in such crowded conditions must be difficult. I am sure it is difficult. She must have left already. I am sure she has left already. Ought to expresses moral obligation or desirability, as we ought to love our neighbors. We ought to help him. You ought to know better. Ought to can also be used to express probability, as prices ought to come down soon. This book ought to be very useful. Used to need dare. The auxiliary used to expresses a discontinued habit. There used to be a house there. I used to live there when I was a boy. Used to as an auxiliary verb is old-fashioned and very formal. Today we normally use did in negatives and questions. Did you used to swim? The auxiliary need denoting necessity or obligation can be conjugated with or without do. When conjugated with do, it has no s and ed forms and is used with an infinitive without to only in negative and interrogative sentences and in sentences that contain semi-negative words like scarcely, scarcely and hardly. He need not go. It is not necessary for him to go. Need I write to him? I need hardly take his help. When conjugated with do, need has the usual forms needs, needed, and is used with a to infinitive. It is commonly used in negatives and questions. It sometimes occurs in the affirmative also. Do you need to go now? I don't need to meet him. One needs to be careful. Compare. I didn't need to buy it. It was not necessary for me to buy it, and I didn't buy it. I needn't have bought it. It was not necessary for me to buy it, but I bought it. The auxiliary dare, be brave enough to, as distinct from the ordinary verb dare, means challenge, does not take s in the third person singular present tense. It is generally used in negative and interrogative sentences. When conjugated without do, it is followed by an infinitive without to. When conjugated with do, it takes an infinitive with or without to after it. He dare not to take such a step. How dare you contradict me? He dared not do it. He doesn't dare speak to me.